Welcome to my community on Afrocentric Television, channel 15.8. You know this is the station that brings about the occurrences of Africans in diaspora, especially here in Houston. Today, it's a highlight, an exclusive interview with the pioneer. I call him the pioneer of comedy. If you know of any, you can raise your hand or argue with your phone. That is none of my business. But today, we're talking about the pioneer of comedy, stand-up comedy that is in Nigeria. He's also an actor. He is a father, a very dedicated husband as well. He goes by the name Ali Baba. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Good to finally meet you in person. I've always seen you on stage, you know, Echo, AY Live, all of those things, and but now here, live with me in Houston.
I'm on your stage.
Now you be my Ghana. So I had to learn to pronounce your name. That don't Atunyota.
Ali Baba will do.
You know what I mean? I want the people to know who this man behind Ali Baba is.
Oh, okay.
You know, Atunyota, Hallelujah, Akpobome.
Well, you know all those ones are abbreviated. They are not the. It's Akpobome, Akporobome, Atunyota, Umavuesho.
Why you? We know they do comedy now.
I'm telling you the real names. That's why Jump took a while before I passed, because you know when you put those names
those kinds in there.
Results always they come out negative.
You were born in the 60s. What is it like growing up in the 60s?
Considering the fact that everybody is a millennial, let's just say I was born a long time ago.
A long time ago, eh?
Yes, sir.
Man, I like your style, I beg. So, but how did you come about the name Ali Baba?
It's my baptismal. It's a derivative of my baptismal name, which is Hallelujah, because I was born after several girls. And you know, back in the days, the male syndrome thing was very strong, especially when my father came out from the palace.
Yeah.
And having come from the palace, there was need for him to have sons who would then be, you say, Omodiaburu. You know, so sons that would then become like brothers with him in the palace. And don't forget that the land tenure back then, in those days, was that when land is shared for farming, is given to male children. So if you don't have a male child, you won't get the land to farm. And so my grandmother had just him for the king. And other women had like 6 sons, 5 sons, and so my dad was the only one that was born. So he wanted to have sons as many as, but he was having daughters. Girls. And this was before Beyonce sang the Girl. And so when I came, I was named Hallelujah. Like,
praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, Hallelujah. And funny enough, praise the Lord was what my students in Command Secondary School Ipaja used to call me.
Because of the name, Hallelujah.
Instead of calling you Hallelujah, they call you praise the Lord. So, but with time, when I became, you know, you become a senior in school, not everybody can call you praise the Lord.
You wonder.
So they not you know, they don't punish as much as they used to punish back then.
Nah, you know, parents go soon now.
Exactly. So now they shortened it from Hallelujah to Ali. You know, even when you're in church, you can hear Hallelujah, Hallelujah. So they shortened it to Ali, A-L-L-E-Y. So that was what I was called till I started doing stand-up comedy. And they just threw in the Baba.
Stand-up comedy.
Yes.
Comedy has been in existence.
Sure.
But not the way you took it. Which is one of the reasons why I said earlier during the introduction that you are the pioneer of stand-up comedy. I know you started with quite a few people doing comedy, or, you know, tell us how this all got started.
Anyway, so I think it started by accident in 1988. I was I'm a heckler. You know, I sit in the audience. You know,
and you heckle.
You know, they call them the NFAs in school.
Right, no future ambition.
Those people that make all the noise. They make all the noise in school, and so, because of
kind of sort of like Bovey in those skits now.
Exactly. So you just sit down inside the audience and just throw jibes. So anybody that is performing, you throw jibes. So Sashina Peters had come. Charlie Boy had come, and then we then had a show. Orizwili Kitu came, and those were the big names at the time. Yeah. Alexito, all of them were coming to Epoma at the time. So it was, Epoma was a beehive of activities.
Of course.
So then one show happened, and there was a striptease. Don't forget that some of us who were coming from Bendel State at the time, the only time we are seeing a striptease was in a movie. We had not seen striptease before live. And then they said there was striptease, that there was this lady that was going to do striptease. In fact, that was the only reason we came for the show. The show was, I think it was Shina Peters that was playing. The show was packed to the capacity of the hall was about like 2,000. It was full to the brim.
To capacity.
Everybody, people were sitting very close to the stage. And she came on, removed some of her clothes, and when she got to the petticoat,
did she leave her?
She ran off the stage.
Of
course, students that gathered.
We were pocket money. We were supposed to go chop now.
They were like, no, she must come back, and they disrupted the whole show. And they needed someone to come. They said they were bringing some classic steppers, dance. They said nobody, to bottles and all kinds of stuff were being. You know how students behave. We want our money back, or the girl must come back and do the striptease. That's not how they used to do it anyway. And before now, when the show was going on, I'd been doing my heckling. And so the organizer of the show came and said, Percy Okoje said, Ali, I need you to come and pacify these guys. Just come on stage, tell them to get it. We'll get the girl back on stage. But for now, keep them. Just get them busy. So I went on stage and they gave me a mic. It was an FM mic. You know that FM mic that has this antenna under like that. That was the mic that they gave to me. And the DJ's booth was there. It was connected. So you can't be too far from the DJ. Exactly. So you had to stay in one corner, not too far from the end. And the MC was Fidelis Blackbone Onovugapu, who was with Bendel Radio Service, BBS at the time, Bendel Broadcasting Service. And he said, just cool down, we'll just bring in on stage the resident John Chukwu. That was how I was introduced. Now, I came on stage and pacified the students. But what actually pacified the students was that I yapped the whole school. Like a fella star. And they go just laugh. You know, students like when you register. Just be like, now make it a yap politician. Exactly. If you just yap registrar, that's all. So I started picking on students. I picked on lecturers. I picked on HODs. I picked on deans. Then I'll now say, suggest deans that you want me to pick on. Students were suggesting, I was yapping them. Then I'll pick on restaurants. I hope that didn't get you in trouble. Not because the registrar was sitting right there, he was sitting right in front there. And I picked on him. In fact, at this show that we just finished, which we'll talk about later, somebody told me he's a Dokpaye's cousin. And he told him that I was here, and the Dokpaye said, oh, that rascal. Because I was back as 88. Yes, 88, I picked on him. And the funny thing was that when that was going on, the lady was backstage. They were trying to convince her to get back on stage. So they came to meet me and said, she's nearly ready, but can the DJ play something? So I said, you know what, let the DJ just play something now. I'll go backstage and get her ready to come back up. That's how I started as co-MC with Fidelis Blackball Onovugapo, with a lady called Stella Ole, who were also broadcasters at the time. So I went backstage and I went to meet the girl. The lady said they were begging her. She said she's not coming out. They will rip her apart. And she was voluptuous. You know, because if she's a striptease, she must have something to present. African men are like, you know, it is now. So I went backstage and I told her, I said, you know what, I've pacified everybody. I'm going to stand on the side when you come on. Just in case. But when you come on, she said, I said, okay, so what is left? Is it not just this one that you remove? He said, no, when she removes this one, there's still bra and pants. So I said that's okay. One guy came and said, student said, no, they want to see everything, you know. So I told her, I said, can you do it? She said, oh, she'll do it if it's a better gathering. You want spoil should be. I said, so you will do it. She said, yeah. So I went, I told them, I said, the lady said she's going to come out and drop everything, but if you guys are not quiet, we'll cancel it. If you see, it was dead silent. You be commander. Commander. So let me tell you, at that point, I saw the power that I had just holding the microphone.
Took charge.
And so the Fidelist Blackboard on Novukapo now started telling me what to do.
Him be the MC.
Yes, he's the MC, who was a broadcaster, seasoned broadcaster. So he would tell them to sit down, tell everybody to move back.
Because now they are listening, they are following your command.
Listening to me. So I said, tell them. I said, and if they say they want to, say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing another artist on. Otherwise, so they moved back. And I told them, I said, and also clear the aisle for people to move up and down. I started giving instructions, and they were listening. So that was how I knew how to become an MC. But the Yabis part was just the one that I picked from having gone to a shrine and all of that. So then went on stage, introduced the lady. They refused for Fidelis to introduce the lady.
Yeah, well, the MC.
Yes. So I now said, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm bringing. So, and then I was doing all those things. Aluta.
Aluta continue Victoria.
So she came on. When she came on, she danced. She was dancing to Isn't She Lovely?
Yeah.
And so they were playing the song, Isn't She Wonderful? And she would come on, she would just twist, and then she removed the petticoat, which was one long.
Yeah, I know what the petticoat is.
Removed it and was flinging it like this and dancing, and then backed the audience and removed her bra.
And then wait me, she turned.
So she turned. The school erupted. I went to a bad school. The school erupted. The school erupted.
Solid school for East.
Then she stopped and then backed the audience again and then started pulling her pants down.
Teasing them.
Then when she pulled the pants down, she turned around and ran off the stage. That was enough. Students,
it was more than enough for them.
They had their money's worth. Everybody was like, yes. And I said, you know what? That was a beautiful day. If people want her to come back again, everybody go out, queue and pay in again. There were people who were
willing to do that.
But in any case, that was how I got my first taste on stage. Beautiful. But you see, it wasn't like I was a paid comedian. So when the show finished that day, the guy gave me 50 kobo.
It was in 88.
When he gave the money to me, 50 kobo. He gave the money to me, I was like, because
you just do natural
gate fee
stuff.
was about 60 naira or so. He gave me 50 hours. Well, the gate fee was 50 kobo or so. So I said, thank you. I took the thing and then went. Then the next show they had in school, they called.
They wanted you to come.
They wanted me to come and be here. So, and I told them that they must pay 10 naira.
From 50 kobo to 10 naira.
That they must pay 10.
Not be 1 naira.
No, 10 naira. So they begged and said, okay, they will give me the 10 naira. So they gave me the 10 naira before they gave me 2 tickets extra. Went for the show. When the time came, they now brought me in. I did the Yabis again. Picked on. This time, I did fresh Yabis. And there was no show from then on in school that I was not part of.
Oh, wow.
And gradually rose to 50 naira, 200 naira, 250 naira. And my allowance was 100 naira every month from my dad. And I started earning 150 naira. And the sky was the limit because I knew that if I could be earning that much,
there's something, man.
But you see, most shows then are sponsored by corporate bodies outside school.
Right.
So there's a HAP will come and do a show.
Guinness
will come and do their Coca-Cola will come, and the 7-Up was also coming to do 7-Up High Life and all of that.
Right.
Now, of all those shows that they were doing, something stood out. It was that they were using me, and they were saying the impact I had on the students. So gradually, those corporate affairs in promoters and marketing departments in all those companies now took me to other schools. So it took me to Uniben, took me to Auchipoli
to promote their brand in those schools.
So Uniport, Uniben, Unilag, then we went to Ikadolo, we went to...
You know come Ife?
I did. I came to Ife, I went to Ibadan, in fact, by the time I had gone to, and all the times that you visit those schools is during student week.
Yeah.
You understand? That was when students were
fresh.
Students, yes, so jam bites or just copy. So people had time to pay. They brought money from, because a lot of students back then used to hustle during holidays.
So now.
And then when you come to school, you live large till money dries up, and then you begin to wish to go back home again. So that was what happened. But at that time, a lot of people were used to slapstick comedy.
What is a slapstick comedy?
Slapstick, the one that you wear a bow tie, big tie, clock, big,
like Baba Salah.
Like Baba Salah.
Yeah, okay.
So the Baba Salah, the Papiluwe, the Samanja,
right,
were the comedians at the time. And the few people who were managing to even do some comedy were not stand-up. So you had people like John Chukwu, who was an MC and could do jokes.
So let me ask you this. What is the difference between an MC and a comedian? Because I know sometimes comedians don't necessarily have to be an MC.
Yeah, you can be an MC and not a comedian. You can be a comedian and not an MC. But you can have that God-given talent to be able to combine being an MC
both.
And being
you manage the events and keep the people.
Or you can also be an MC but not a comedian, but you have a great sense of humor. So it's not like you now say, yes, this time I want to do like 20-30 minutes of straight jokes. But as an MC, in between you throw in funny quips, one-liners, and they'll keep the party going. It's like you know how to tell jokes and deliver them well, but you don't know how to do it on a straight stretch for a while. So that's what makes you a good MC. But then again, you can be a comedian, you're very good, but if they give you the mic and say coordinate this event as master of ceremonies, you would not be able to do it. There's a big difference there. So you find sometimes you call some people and say, we want you to come and perform as comedian, and he comes and you say, can you MC as well? And the guy says, no, I
probably cannot manage.
Sometimes it's because the dexterity in the language is default. It's in default mode.
See, you just use the word dexterity now.
Yeah.
I know one thing that is something you try to educate people on. It's the use of English.
Sure.
When you do your comedy, let's say someone asks you to give them 1 million, let's say, and you say something like, yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
And then the person thinks that
you said
yes. Irony, hyperbole, similes, sarcasm, and a lot of other. The use of English is very important. What's that thing that when you want to come to a foreign land and they speak English, they say IELTS.
English as a foreign language.
Yes, exactly. And if you do not pass that,
TOEFL. Test of English as a foreign language.
And you can't come into because they want you to be able to communicate.
Coordinate yourself.
Because they expect you to be able to read signs, communicate with the officers when they arrest you, and when they're reading you your rights, you should be able to understand it. So they expect you to understand the language. Now, English language is important in the sense that it's the currency for education in Nigeria. There is no textbook of geography in Yoruba language. There's no.
We're still talking about something like that.
Exactly. There's no chemistry textbook in biology. Your maths is not written in
Yoruba.
Hauchi. It's not written in Hausa. So if the question paper from WAEC comes to you in the exam hall,
it's still going to be in English.
It's going to be in English. So it's important to reach out to the people in English language. Now, there's relatability in performing a joke. Even when you're working as an MC, you have to relate to the people. You have to have a common ground. You have to have a language that people can understand you with. And so there's need for you to speak English well. And not just speak well, to be able to make it colorful. The people that you're talking to will determine how you speak the language. But if the people you're talking to then need to be communicated to in pidgin, then you then begin to mix the two, just so that some affinity, some people just feel like it's one of us and we're relating well, so that they can understand it. Especially when you're performing to your people from Nigeria. There was a time in London, a lot of those worry boys were very good friends of people who could not speak Pidgin. Because they wanted to hear how the Pidgin English was spoken. And even here in America, sometimes when you come across Nigerians, after speaking the Swiss amongst themselves, they speak the Pidgin.
We now, you understand.
You understand? They speak the thing well. And for a lot of Africans, even the people who speak Creole, they like the Nigerian Pidgin a lot more better. So I figure that it is important for us to put that in perspective. So English language is important. It's the source and the platform that we all, like the conveyor belts, that we all use to communicate to ourselves.
Talking about source.
And it's important for a comedian or an MC
to understand spoken words.
Yes.
Talking about source and platform, I introduced you as a pioneer. You have become a mentor to several, if not all, today, stand-up comedians in Nigeria, home and away, as a matter of fact, even in the States. Do you worry sometimes if your materials are being used?
I think that point of worry came sometime in 1995 or 96. When the Night of Thousand Laughs started.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Okay, so when Night of Thousand Laughs, yes, when Night of Thousand Laughs started, I'd been doing the thing for nearly 7-8 years. You know, nearly about 8 years.
Yeah, I mean since 1988.
So, Opa Williams, who is a master, one of the people that actually gave the wings for comedians to fly in Nigeria, called me and said he wanted me to be part of Night of 1,000 Laughs. I said, oh, sure. Or he called the names of the comedians that will be performing. And I said, do any of these comedians that you've called have their own jokes? He said, why? I said, because I don't want to come on that stage and somebody will be performing my own jokes.
Before you even perform.
So he was like, oh, no, it's not that. Just come. I said, no. And by the way, if they perform my jokes, I don't want to see them in a VHS. So a friend of mine, Efere Ozako, because I didn't perform I wasn't on the first Night of 1,000 Laughs, I was on the second one.
Wow.
It was the third Night of 1,000 Laughs that I made an appearance in. And even that one, I insisted that I was not recorded. So when it was time for my performance, they shut down all the cameras. And I did an hour, 25 minutes. Straight. Amongst all the comedians that came to perform, some of them did 10 minutes, did 5 minutes, or did another 10 minutes. I did, and when I finished, Opa called me and said, bros, big problem. I said, what? He said, the materials that you did now were all rich materials. We should have documented it so that future generations can see and learn from it. I said, no, I don't want any of that. And we left it. But what then happened was that about another 8 months passed and he was preparing for the next Night of 1,000 Laughs. And he called me and Efere was there. And Efere said, you know what? You know when they do all these American Idol, they perform the songs of Whitney Houston.
Of course.
They perform Michael Jackson song. They perform everybody's song.
Lionel Richie.
Just so that you can see that they are good at what they're doing. So you use those.
They may not have their own material,
exactly,
but they have something they can work with.
So in performing your jokes, they're honoring you and they're saying, we use this as a test of our own credibility and abilities. So it's not that they're saying we are taking it from you. So be proud about it. And so I said, okay, coming from that point, I understand. So it became the reason that a lot of people have called me Godfather, because what then happened was that a lot of my jokes that I created at that time,
it's still being used,
became the bedrock of and launched so many careers. You see, these days I go to events, I probably could hear a joke that I did in 1991. Sometimes I hear a joke that I did in 82, 83. For instance, there was a joke that I did when Nigeria played Senegal. And it was, Jesus is a mighty God. And then the Hausa people joined and they were all singing. Yeah. And somebody asked the Hausa guy, are you Christian? He said, no, let's win this match first. You know? And I did that joke and it was one of the jokes that Emeka Omero now liked, because when they did the awards in the evening, when they did the dinner in the evening with all the other players coming in, Kocha, Mudashiru, and all of those, they said that joke was really beautiful. But you see, at that time, most of these things were on VHS. People who recorded them either didn't keep them or something, and I wasn't in the position to even record some of those things and keep at the time. But it formed a fountain of jokes that a lot of people can dip in. Just get up something, go for a wedding, throw 2 or 3, and begin to launch your career. So a lot of people learned from that and said, this is how he tells the joke, this is what he does, this is how he pauses, this is...
Did they give credence to you?
Oh, you know, when they started, you know, when somebody is performing and he's doing one song, he doesn't need to tell, this is a Michael Jackson song, shout out to Whitney Houston, you know, they just do the song. Sometimes when they even do the song, if it gets to the place where the person's name is called, you put your own name there. So they don't pay me, or you not change it to Jide called don't pay me.
Yeah, things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So most people just do it just because you want to push your career a bit. But it was no sweat. After a point, I felt even creating jokes to help any of them was even the best thing to do. So I create as many as 2, 3, 4 jokes a day. And as the jokes come to me, I probably will find somebody that I think this is the kind of joke that would be good for you. Tell it. And I started passing jokes on to so many people. I could create a joke. I could tell a joke and about like 2 guys would be like, I like that joke. I say, take it, run with it. What it even does for me is that the fact that I know that any joke that I tell has gone out means that I have to create new ones.
So it births your creative mind.
Yes, exactly. So it gives me an extra push or challenge to make sure that I create new stuff, because whatever I've created has gone into that fountain that I was talking about.
And today, we are saying you are the pioneer. And that, thanks for letting young men live off of your platform, right? Your creativities. Why did you choose comedy as opposed to acting? Because it took a while before we as Nigerians, it's tough to make us laugh. Worry too much. But we are Regina Askia, all of those people back in them days of movies, some local them, Samanja, you know, movie has become something that people reckon with. People can, every evening, you want to sit down, watch a soap and you know,
and connect with your culture.
But at those times, you were doing comedy. Why not go into acting? Because if you can face the crowd, definitely you can do some acting.
All right. Now, there is a lot of theatrical professionalism when it comes to being an actor. I was speaking, let me borrow... it's like name dropping. Let me just name drop a bit. When I spoke with Joke Silva,
Olujekos wife, yeah,
I told her, I said that I've been invited to act in a movie and I want to charge you. So she laughed and she said, Ali, what we do as actors is a labor of love. We don't get paid what we should be paid. We just make sure we do it because we love the profession. We just like acting. And so the passion is what actually makes us do it. But we know they don't pay as much as they pay for being an MC or a comedian. Because when I started doing stand-up comedy and I started asking or demanding certain fees, people were telling me, no, nobody will pay you that kind of amount. But you see, I pushed comedy as a service. I didn't push it as an art form. So I pushed it as a commercial field. It's like a lawyer pushing himself. So I didn't push myself as a justice of peace. I pushed myself as somebody who was going to make money from the laws. Yes, rendering service. So in rendering services, I had to be paid for rendering those services. And so while a lot of them were doing it just to show that they could act, I was asking to be paid for what I was doing because I was adding value. Now, the value that actors and actresses add to the society is not immediately converted to cash. People feel that they're just doing it to make us happy. But mine was that I was doing this thing because I'm creating a service for your event. You have a birthday party, I'm coming there to add value to your event. You must pay me. And so it got to a point where I drew the line. I knew I was not going to make money from being an actor. And as far back as 1994, in fact 1993, when I drew that line, I was like, I'm making money from being a comedian and I'm not going to be working for free. Check this out. You become an MC and in 2-3 hours the event is over. Bata 4. You collect your money and walk away.
You don't do.
If you're an actor,
you're going to come every day now.
You have to shoot for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, back to back. Sometimes it takes 1 month,
if not more,
to finish shooting a movie.
And then you have to travel to location, stay in location, and do all of those things. And
then be reading the script and everything. At that time, probably I've done about like 6-7 events. So when the guy is jumping from one set to another, don't forget that back in the days, there were no phones to be calling somebody, come to this set, come to this. So you have to jump from one set to the other. Location will shut down, waiting for you to come. And when you come, they now shoot. It gets into the night, you can't finish. You start shooting the next day. It was a labor of love, like Joker Sylvia rightly described. I had too much on my shoulders. I didn't have that time to come and be doing Father Christmas. And so I started making money from it. People feel like there was no money in comedy. You know, they feel like it's a side job, it's a for never do well. But a lot of them did not know how much money was there. And as soon as I started harvesting that, I got into the notice board of a lot of journalists. So the journalists that cared to ask would ask me, how much are you charging for this event? And I'll tell them. He said, I was talking to this promoter, they said they paid you so and so, and I'll say yes. And they'll be wondering, do you know how much they pay actors? Now, the few that knew, and will write about it. But the ones that didn't know still wanted to understand why someone would get paid that kind of amount. And a lot of them believed that there was no money in it. Until these young comedians came and started living Lao. Showing that
How are you?
Good.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You see, PP grammar, what is the meaning of that?
It means terrific.
So why can't you just say terrific? Anyways, the other day we were playing Monopoly, so I said, what?
Dad. It's not Monopoly.
Monopoly, what's the difference?
That's why I'm praying to God to give me an American accent. What's that word you can't say? Hippopotamus.
What is hippopotamus? It's hippopotamus.
About my dad. As you can see, my dad is an original African parent. My friend at school told me that her parents give her an allowance every week. She gets $1 for doing the laundry, $1 for cleaning her room. She even gets $1 for putting the dishes in the sink. She doesn't wash it too. He said, an allowance? I said, it's not an allowance, it's an allowance. And you already have an allowance. allowing you to live in this house. I'm allowing you to go to school. I'm allowing you to wear your clothes. That is your allowance. At school for lunch, my friends' parents pack pizza, lasagna, cake, cupcake. But to me, pack rice, beans, and plantain for the whole week. One time, my mom even packed egg bath with okra soup that messes up your face. My friends were staring at it. They were looking at it. They were staring at it for so long. My teacher had to see to my food.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is no, my name is not Alibaba. I am Afrocentric. I hope they are not looking for Afrocentric, but I am Afrocentric.
Hi, I go by the name Ben Smith, aka Safunshi, and I am Afrocentric.
Then there's something else that I need to. As growing up as children, we learned that dogs are not playthings, especially when the dog does not like anybody. So you're walking down, and this is something that Africans know. When you're walking down the road and somebody has a dog, only white people go to say hello. What, are we related? Do I know you from Nigeria? You see white people actually go find out the name of the dog. What kind of social networking is that? Say, hey, is that your dog? No. They met on the road and he put a rope on his neck. Is that your dog? Oh yeah. Oh wow. The dog goes, and see, first morning, the dog goes, he said, oh, it's an aggressive one. Lovely. What's his name? See, black people. You hear some black person is just walking down the road like this, and then raises the face and sees dog. And you know, we Africans, we like ourselves. So if this African walking has like 3 other Africans that he doesn't know, and as soon as he just says, hey, dog, you hear, and you can always tell that those people too are Africans, because we're always grateful for being saved. And the guy says, dog, he says, thank you. Let me tell you one thing. Dogs in immigration, those dogs are afraid of Africans. Do you know Dawa locust bees? You know the kind of smell that thing has? One time we were landing in London, my wife had wrapped that thing and wrapped a lot of food, the palm cocoa and all those things that we were taking to London. This dog was sniffing other bags, then got to that bag. The dog turned and looked at my wife. Kind of like, you brought this here to this country. That, you know, when I knew that dog would never remain the same, the dog went, maybe there's something there. Then turned and looked at the dog, saying, you know, they now try to put the head. Come in, let me show you. So the dog minder is holding the dog, and then the dog goes. So in his mind, he's like, as far as they are trying to push the head. The dog is like, hey, it's enough. They are not carrying anything. Do you want me to die? I never say anything, I'll die today. then we walk past immigration. We carried our bag, walked in. Like 2 years later, that dog was still walking there. soup and everything. So, as the bags were coming around, they were bringing the dogs. The dog just turned and looked at my wife. Welcome. Which one be your bag? So, no need to smell your bag. Any bag you bring, you go in. I come and kill myself because of K9 walk. What nonsense.
They do your thing low key before, eh? Never Obasanjo raised them one time like that.
When, you know, even Obasanjo shouted when he found out how much I was earning. But before then, people did not know there was money in it. So when I started, I was Mohammed Danjuma. There was Alarm Blow. There was
I remember Alarm Blow.
There was, you know, Bisiola Tilo was our MC person, and he would take us as stand-up to go and perform at all those places. There was a guy called Saint Jack as well. And all of these people helped to grow the industry, as it were. But none of them knew how much we were earning. Now, Mohammed Danjuma was acting. Oke Bakassi was acting.
Okay
Bakassi was doing those movies.
Those skits.
And then he was in movies.
Yeah.
But they knew there was no money in the movies like there was in comedy. But you see, the mileage you got from movies was more. When you do comedy, it's just for that event. When you do a movie, it's across the country.
And then it's aired. So comedy may not just be as recorded.
So the choice was
mileage.
Yes, the choice was mileage. Let me give you a joke. You know, when I finished this show for MCPC,
who was he talking about?
Someone asked me, said, he's surprised that I said I had been in show business or as a comedian for over 30 years. I said, why? He said, because he just got to know me in Wedding Party. The movie of, say, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I know Wedding Party. I've seen 1 and 2.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. So some people were born.
Imagine, you have been in the industry
for
27 years at the time.
Yes.
Before the movie.
Before the movie came out. But it is the yardstick that somebody is using to the mileage. Which is the same thing that somebody will say.
So you can imagine on Netflix, anywhere you are in the world, you have access to Netflix, they stream it, and you're able to watch it like, I like this Yoruba father-in-law. You know, he's just, even when there's nothing, they love themselves, and you know, the head shaking, I like, wait, this is Ali Baba, and I know this man.
But you see, a lot of people who did not grow up in the time, like they say, there arose a king that did not know David. But this show that they had, you had people who were there in the 80s, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, and probably came here in 98 or 2000 and knew me up to that point. But most of the people who you see online, the millennials, did not know who I was. Some of them don't even know who I was until Wedding Party. Now, a woman was introducing me to some of her children after church. I went to a church in DCH, or so they called it.
Yeah.
And when the church service finished, she was telling the children, this is Ali Baba. And they were like, okay, what does it do? And before I could answer, the woman said, he's the one that's the father of the bride in Wedding Party. They were like, oh, that was dancing, you know.
That's when they see a star.
You see, but let me tell you, it means that my 30 years of being a comedian was lost to them, but the movie was right in their mind. So it's the same thing I was trying to explain, that back then I felt there was need to just push this comedy because I think this is where I'll get money from. And true to it, the kind of money that I made at the time that I was paid in 1.6 million in 1996. There's some
there they pay you 1.6 million for anything. My VC for if you know they pay in 1996, I did for that time. They didn't pay 1.6 million now.
Well, but it was Saxon Brown. Saxon Brown paid me 1.6. Okay, you see?
No louder. My wife they watch.
So the Saxon Brown had a tour. I went on the tour. When we finished the tour,
Saxon Brown gold.
Yes. Golden ball.
Yeah.
And then they gave me the check. I photocopied the check. I was using it as bookmark.
So you think that's the joke?
So most times, at the time I showed it to some people who were actors at the time. Don't forget that you had just one television station at the time, NTA.
NTA.
So everybody drifted towards that way. So if you are not on TV, on NTA, your star won't shine. But thank God for the independence of television, and when the ban was lifted, and every other person got licenses. Acting, television dramas, and the rest of them now took over the airwaves, and that was when a lot of value now started being added to acting. Then soap operas and the rest of them started springing up from different places. But the network of NTA was so big at the time. I worked on television at the time when I was waiting for the career to actually take flight. I worked as floor manager, I worked as cameraman, I worked as audio, I worked as set designer, I worked as...
So it's always good to understand every sphere, everything.
Understand everything.
Because I was looking at your page at some point. You had all this camera set on your office, you know, the white background, and I'm like,
I did continuity for about 4 months.
Wow.
On different productions.
Wow.
Continuity that will say, this is where this one was, it wasn't here. And you know, then you jot it down and you write it. Sometimes, you know, now people take pictures,
yes, now
so that you know your continuity. Then you write it down and say, when this was here, he was standing here. That one person was there. But it was manual. So it helps with memory. So anybody that doesn't have good memory couldn't do continuity at the time. It's not like now you just have a phone, you take a picture of a scene.
So you know where
when they say, okay, let's shoot it again tomorrow, you know, this was here, this was here. But, you know, I'm sure you've seen the problem of certain movies where when they shoot one day and they shoot the next day, the girl had a low cut, the next day she had her wig on. You know, so
those little
but that was it. The difference in financial perspective was one of the reasons that made me choose comedy and not over acting at the time. And even now, you still act without taking the shine from anybody. If you're a big actor, your fee will be between 4 to 10 million, right? The comedian will make that in a show.
No loud down.
Okay.
No loud down. So how many movies have you featured in?
I think about 6 now. You
have to give us some names some titles, so we can watch them.
I've been in Gold Statue.
I've not seen that.
Gold Statue. I've been in Wedding Party 1 and 2.
I've seen those.
I've been in Tinsel, but that's a soap opera.
Tinsel?
Yes, I've been in Tinsel.
Okay.
I've been in there's The Accidental Spy with AY. I've been in She with Omawumi and
wow,
you know, and about like 3 other movies.
Okay.
So yes,
I need to go start searching everywhere now for Alibaba.
I put some of them on my Wikipedia. So
okay,
yes,
so I can definitely get it there. Awesome. What is your take on social media and the way the millennials because they are the good advantage or the good and advantage of you know, having a social media handle? I know you are particular about who you follow.
Sure.
About who follows you, and you feed off of their energy, and if it is negative, you immediately
discard. Yes.
So
God said it in the Bible that if the person you are following on Twitter or Facebook will make you sin, block it out.
That's blocking. That's blocking.
If your right eye will make you sin, pluck it out. That's Twitter and Facebook. Yeah.
So what do you think about the way it's being used now? Because I mean, everybody is a warrior, everybody is an activist at the back.
Okay, let's look at the structure and the dynamics of social media. Social media is a platform that people relate with and relate on. Social media has started even in the Bible, long time ago. Social media is a place that people gather to hear about the things that are happening. Though Galilee used to be like the first social media.
Right. Right.
Just gather,
when they hear the talk of town.
Yeah, so people will come and then talk to them. And sometimes it is like the well, where you hear there's a well in front of a temple. People will gather in front of the well. People will come and talk to them. Anywhere you had a gathering, is a social platform and social media. It's just that internet came and moved people. Okay, before social media, there were clubs, the Yoruba tennis club,
Eko club.
People gather in those places and did what you
Moby
do
Pegasus
now.
them.
Exactly. Did what Eko club.
Eko
and all
club.
Of that, you know,
this one?
Eagle Club.
Eagle Club, thank you.
So what those people represent, or what those institutions represented at the time, is the same thing social media is doing right now. Back then, in our days, you had leads. Abi? You know,
I performed now. I danced
exactly.
now.
So you go to Leeds to share experiences.
I still remember the song, the lyrics and everything.
Okay. Now, a lot of them now would not know what pen pals is. So we used to do pen pal at the
Doxology
time.
at the end.
So pen pal was DM.
Ha.
It was the DM at the time. So by the time you put all these technicalities together, that is what social media is. Back then,
it was just reinvented.
Exactly. It was just given a new twist.
A platform.
Exactly.
So now you can just do it from your phone.
Okay. Back then, who was your informant? Just like what Tunde Ednot is doing now. When something happens somewhere, he will come and tell you.
And even people send him stuff.
Exactly. Which is the same thing Leader KGA and the rest of them do.
On Blogspot,
yes. Bella Ninja and all of them. That is the job of the town crier back in the days. So when you talk of social media, it's a platform for dissemination of news and also discussion of different. So back then, in those days, you had the town crier who will come and say, hey, go, you know, and then mention that people should gather at so and so place. There will be a wrestling tournament between the village, Abule, Egba, at Abule, Shogo. They will be coming to fight. So you people should come to the palace or this thing. It's dissemination of information. So the town crier was your Google, it was your Twitter, it was the time. Your Facebook. But now at the time.
You don't have to hear them. You can always hear them.
It's nothing changed. It's just that the dynamics had improved because of the power of internet. So I don't say it's still the same thing. It's the same thing. How would we put it? How did the news get to Herod that a child had been born? It's gossip and news that were floating all around.
So those are the gossipers.
So Linda Akeji wrote about it that Jesus was born in Nazareth and the king heard. And he was asking few people, and somebody said, I saw it on Tunde Ednot as well. And they said, okay,
just to confirm it.
Just like you people find him for me. And then the people started using GPS. Those three wise men. They were using GPS to find.
At the time, not the star.
Exactly. So it is the same thing as it was then. So it is now.
Awesome.
So I don't see anything wrong in it. It is just, and just like then too, people would use it in a wrong way.
Typical.
Even then, when people were doing money order, people will still, you post something, people will collect it and steal the thing that's inside and then leave. You go to post office and you find, or they come and drop something in your post office box. Somebody has pilfered it. That's hacking. That's Yahoo. People will break into your email box.
If you go just disseminate everything now,
But that's what happened.
And that is the truth. Now you've given me another reason to start thinking into or looking into something that I need to create and invent.
Exactly.
Based on past occurrences.
Just use, because the thing is, you just meet a need. What is the need that thing was solving? And that was for instance, what first Uber was in the Bible.
Who you be now?
When Jesus said, "Go to that woman, let her give you a donkey."
And the Uber ride.
Uber now. So because he wanted to ride into Jerusalem. So he called them and they sent Uber.
I don't know if you work.
So they sent Uber. So those are the kind of things that you used to.
You do this every year.
Yes.
January 1st.
Yes. It's my flagship event.
January 1st.
Yes.
I want us to quickly talk about January 1st.
January 1st came about because, as friends, we hang, RMD, myself, James, Onome, and all the like, Benga, all of us. We normally just hang out at my place, either January 1st. And we know after crossover service, when you sleep and wake up at about 12, because if you do crossover, there's no way that you still be awake. Because after crossover of New Year,
you end out around 2
or 3, depending on how they drink. So and then some churches would then insist that you must come for service
in the morning. Yeah.
So when you go to that service in the morning, when you get back home,
you want to sleep first. Yeah.
You sleep and when you wake up like 2, 3.
Nothing they happen.
You now decide, okay, who's your friend? Now, don't forget that those days there were no phones to call to say what's happening in your place. So you just visit like 3, 4, 5 places. Then when you get to a guy's place and you see that that's where it's happening, everybody just hangs there. And anybody that leaves will now say, man, it's Tayo's place. So you say, no, it's Benga's place that's happening. No. And then we just spread out like that. Because if you stay at home, it's boring. Most times you stay at home and 2, 3 people, that time that they pass rice. If you are in a face-to-face, those people will cook rice and
then they'll bring a plate of
you two will now cook and then so all the women will be learning to also put Maggi, put tomato pep and all those things just to make sure the thing smells nice.
Them.
Okay, but then I now thought, I said, this was 2010. I said, why can't we do an event? And then people, when people do not like an idea, they'll shoot it down. So they shut it down. And they said, no, nobody will come. January 1st, everybody wants to stay at home. The people who traveled home, Igbo people, people who shut down. 20th, 22nd, they go.
All the way to January now.
And if they are not coming back, the Lagos is empty. If you even know now, Lagos is empty. And I thought about it. I said, but what if they go for Christmas and know that there's a show January 1st? New Year. So they will come back early. A lot of people, I don't know if you know about this, people travel for January, for all those New Year.
Yeah, of course.
They get broke by the time they come back home. Because the people in the village will make sure they finish.
Drain them.
They will finish the money you brought. So we now organize this. So we talked about it. 2010, people discouraged me. 2011, by 2012, my friend, my besto, Zakilo, told me, said, my brother, because we were now I was living in 2010. I then now moved. But when we were in Ikoyi, we'll come at my swimming pool side. Everybody will sit there, comedians, friends, actors, and celebrities will come. But you see everybody having fun. When they leave, people will tell you that it was the only thing they remember doing on New Year Day. So I said, okay, why not let's organize a January 1st concert? The people that shut it down, but we've sat on it 2013, 2014. By 2015, we were ready to go. So we started the first one 2015. And we did not only just start, there was need to help a lot of people get into the New Year proper. So we did a New Year service prayer in the morning, in the beginning of the show. Then we now did a review of the year. So everything that had happened all through the year, comedians would just come and talk about it. It brought,
fresh memory.
Exactly. It helped a lot of people just catch on and be like, oh, that's true, that happened. Oh,
now this year,
okay, and then you now prepare for the next year. People just have a great time. And people then remember that year, that was the only year that they've remembered in the last 10 years of having enjoyed the 1st of January. And so we continued it. Then we started giving out cards to best comedians who did spontaneity.
And I learned you also started, inviting people that are vocational.
Okay, so we did vocational gigs. And then we also did something very important. This was between my wife and I. We thought, the first fruit. Since it's January 1st.
I read about that, the IVF.
Yeah, so we said, let's support IVF. And and we thought the best way to go about it is to get people who were above 40. They
at least the younger ones.
So the younger ones, they had a few times to try. And so we allowed them to come. I think we did the test for about there were about 100 and something that came. We were going to sponsor everything. And we did. And so we did the test first. They do the test and say, okay, the possibility
you have
here. Your chances are higher, and they chose 10. and of the 10, we succeeded in getting 3.
Wow.
Let me tell you, the best part of it was that one day I was in Ilupeju. As I came out of Adiola Deleye, which was my old street, we went there to see somebody. As we came out like this, one man said, I should park. So we parked at the Coca roundabout. And the guy said, you don't know me. I knelt down. I was like, what's the problem? I said, my wife just put to bed, and I want to thank you. Upon her.
One of those
yes.
people.
But at that time, I said, how will you come and thank me for your wife? They said, no, that she was one of the beneficiaries from the. Oh, I said, oh wow, congratulations. He said, oh no, that he just wants to thank me. I was crying, and that they had tried for nearly 10 years.
Wow.
And and because they were saving money, and it was really, they felt, let God do it, and it happened. Now we then also did for first class. If you got first class, come to January 1st, we would give you 1 million naira. So it would be your first 1 million naira on January 1st for being a first class.
And then you did the one for first inventor, or first person that did this.
Yes, we're giving awards to those people who had done something for the first.
You have done.
And we did for fashion as well. We did for fashion.
Yeah,
we did for makeup.
Machines.
We did for graphic artists, and we did for. It's just like.
I hope to be on the next one, January.
Okay, all right.
I hope to.
Okay, I thought you were going to do IVF. Okay, no.
Why would I do IVF? I don't born speaking Finnish. No, Kuba, me. My wife to watch this. Guy.
Let me tell you one thing. All these wives, they will tell you it's over. Just watch. One day you just say, you just wake up.
Me, I don't castrate myself. Forget that thing.
You say it's God that.
Yeah, it's God, but I don't castrate myself. Bros, more no talk about them.
You just get twins now. Twins. Ibeji is.
Baba.
Okay, sorry.
Baba. Now, course you won't cost me, so no cost me. I don't do for America. Today,
your production manager is praying for you too.
Amen. You know, mirror, they reflect things back. Let's talk about the event that brought you to Houston this time.
Yeah.
MCPC.
Yeah.
Great friend.
Awesome guy.
Great guy. A friend and supporter of the studio.
One of the most trusted comedians in the US. One of the most trusted. Amongst all the other comedians, if you ask them, okay, for instance, you can call some comedians and say, I have a show. I want you to be on the show. They'll say yes. On the day of the show, they won't show up. But if this rascal called MC
Polycarp,
he doesn't like to be called Polycarp, but let's so that they know what. So Polycarp will say
MCPC.
He shortened it because they would have repatriated. So MCPC says he will come for your event. You take it to the bank.
Wow.
There are a lot of disappointment that happened. People would put my name on the poster and they won't show up. If you put his picture on your poster, he delivers. He comes and he doesn't just appear, he delivers. Because this is somebody who has in the 10 years that he's put in as his career, he's grown his spontaneity. He's grown his delivery. He's grown his packaging of events. He's a total comedian, total entertainer.
He's a good friend. Yeah. What do you think about the event?
It was. This is the second time that I'm coming to America because of PC, but it is this is the one that he's actually hosted me and celebrated me.
It's been 30 years, come on.
Yeah, so he wanted to be part of it.
Yes.
And so when we told him, I think he called me and said, Bros, this UK show that you're doing, can you do Houston? I said, okay. He said, just give me a date. I said, okay, find the date and the venue. And he called me back in 24 hours. I said, he has the date, he has the venue, and he's ready to roll. Wow. Send me clips, send me pictures first. Send me pictures. Let's do the graphics, and I think that his commitment showed, his professionalism and his ability to package events and pull people together. Galvanize publicity, and then really maximize the use of his connections and network, and it was a great show. It was
the highlight of that event for me was when Baby Prime, Shagun Prime's daughter.
Oh, she blew me away. She was the star of the night.
It was a moment.
She was the star of the night.
Someone born 8 years ago or 9 years ago or so.
Yeah,
and someone that has been in the industry, a pioneer basically. Yeah. So we were talking about the Richard Pryor of Nigeria, comedy, on stage. Sharing the stage. So that says a lot about you as a person and about MCPC as a person. Taking that risk.
I think
it is a risk well taken.
Yes, but it paid off because the girl she took us home.
The way Nigerian parents and
she laid it all, she's talking about her going through that. If we talk about us going through our own, this our own is Pentium 10.
Of course.
Our own is
na pendulum.
No, but she delivered well.
She did deliver.
She was good, and her timing was perfect. Her delivery was awesome, and the pause before her punchlines.
Awesome. I caught that.
She was.
And then MCPC did something marvelous, something awesome. He raised some funds for her.
I don't think there was any other way that the people should have appreciated her. She broke out and she was crying.
Was she?
She was crying when MCPC. She had managed and pulled her courage all through that. And then when MCPC and when she saw the stand, there was standing ovation when she finished.
Me, I don't hide for where I did. They laugh. My wife was like, "We have to go give her." Then everybody within my team just contributed on, and she went to the stage and just. It was the highlight of the event. It was one of the highlights. Yeah. And before we round up today's show, what word do you have for the young and upcoming?
The thing is, there's a question that God asked Moses, what is that in your hands?
He says a rod.
For him it was a rod, but that's the thing that you see, when everybody has a talent that God has given to us, all you need to do is develop yourself to a point where you connect with that talent and maximize it. Because we'll all get back later to God or whoever you believe in, and you give a record, an account of what you have done with whatever talents you have. You can't have a voice, have eyes, and eyes are talent as well, because when they're playing the US Open, you see some people who stand there like this and they'll tell you the ball is out. That's a talent. Your foresight, your 2020 vision is something that you also can have an eye for good things. You can have an eye for selecting beautiful things or deciding as a judge in a beauty contest. Everything that you have is a talent. You can either run, you can lift weights, you can draw, you can sing, you can be a poet, you can everything you can do. So for the youths and the young ones, there's need for them to harness every talent that they can.
The gift God has deposited in them.
The fact that you can walk is a talent. There's a walkathon. People win gold medals for long jump. People win gold medals for swimming. Look at Michael Phelps from swimming. He's gotten over 34 medals. Now, there are people in our Niger Delta who were born, and the larger children who were born inside water. But you're from there. That means your wife owes me black soup.
You know, tell me you want now.
I've not left this. I'm still here.
Correct.
Black soup.
Correct. No, Lily.
Black soup.
No wahala.
All right.
Which kind of fish you like?
The one that is dead.
Ide no wahala. Ide.
As long as it's in that pot of soup, we're good.
Ide. Nigeria at 59.
Yeah. It's we've lost close to 50 years of development. Let me tell you why I say 50 years of development. We have scattered glimpses of development all through our 59 years of democracy. And those scattered years are the years that brought us Third Mainland Bridge, National Theatre, Cocoa House.
Cocoa House today.
University of Lagos. You know, when those schools were built, they were built for 700 students. Now they moved on to like 1,000 students. Then every student had a room to themselves.
I remember
at the time. Now gradually it became 2. Then it became 3.
No, who's that?
Now you have like 6, 7 people who sleep in one room. What happened was that when the plan was made for those schools to be built, it was futuristic. But after building it, did you build anything again to accommodate?
We don't see beyond the now anymore.
Exactly. So back then as well, you had the groundnut pyramids. So you had groundnut pyramids, you had cotton farms, you had palm oil, you had rubber plantations that brought Dunlop, Michelin, and all the tire companies to Nigeria. And all of these were growing. You had rail, you had ports. So you had Warri Port, you had Port Harcourt Port, you had Calabar Port, you had Lagos Port, you had Sapele Port. All of these ports were working. So what it meant was that all of these were generating monies at a time. So what happened? We lost the momentum in certain parts of those years. So you had the National Theatre. We had television station before Sweden.
Look at where we are.
We had telephones before a lot of countries in Europe had telephones. But you see, what happened? We derailed. And what derailed us, we started losing the essence of proper education, proper vocational education, and strong laws. We then killed everything when we said, there's no need for us to produce groundnuts. There's no need for us to produce anything. There's money in oil. Let's spend this one.
Of course.
So that oil thing was one of the things that messed us up totally. Because timber, AT&P Sapele used to be the supplier of wood, even to Italy. Now, you've lost all of that. You don't have palm oil anymore. Your groundnuts that used to be exported, it disappeared. But one of those causes was that your desert was beginning to creep in and started claiming all those lands. And what happened was that all the Hausa people, or the people who were living in those regions, had to move downwards and move away from it. Don't forget that this desert started from Chad, Niger, kept coming down. Sahara Desert kept coming down. And as it came down, it would drive the cows downwards because they'll keep looking for where to get graze. So those are some of the things that happened to us. And then we then had bad leaders who could not think of the future. The leaders would know that they have 450 House of National Assembly members and prepare what to pay them and prepare accommodation for them. But when you have 1,000 students that will pay to come to a school, you don't prepare for them. But the people you will pay to come to Abuja, you prepare for them.
May Nigeria succeed.
We will succeed.
May Nigeria succeed. I want to thank you very, very much for coming to our studio.
Thanks for having me. Happy Independence to you.
Happy Independence to you. And for the show so far, and I'd like you have so many more.
Yeah, we'll have about like four more
coming up.
Yes.
Well, we hope to see you, and I will be there in Nigeria. I'll reach out to you, of course.
Sure.
Definitely will be there.
We'll connect on social media.
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
I still get your WhatsApp now.
Okay, sure.
I still get your WhatsApp.
Okay, sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, you heard it all. And it has to be somewhere we have so much to talk about. It's Nigeria's independence also. And MCPC pulled the best comedy show in Houston. Guys, I mean, that is the best ever. And that is his best yet. Because there's still some more. He keeps giving us new vibes, new ideas, new fun stuff to relate with. And to top it up, he came with the pioneer of comedy to celebrate his 30th year in the industry. Don't touch the dial. This is still your station, Afrocentric Television. Don't forget to join us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Come on, this is where you can get the best of the best. Something like this, something organic, like having our pioneer here. It's Afrocentric Television, channel 15.8. Stay tuned.